everyone, I'm Miss Englund from Farwell School. Lately, with spring here and all, I've been wanting to learn about the life cycle of a chicken, and I have so many questions. Like, when I go to the grocery store, I see these eggs. Are these the same eggs that chickens come out of? Let's see, there's this egg. Well, there could be a real chicken inside of certain eggs, but let's learn about eggs and why eggs have chickens in some and just a yolk that we can eat in others. Ready to learn with me? I'm excited. I have so many questions. How and why do eggs develop into chicks? And how long does it take anyway? Have you ever seen a baby chick? We have a lot in store from you, and I'm learning right alongside with you. But first, let's look at the egg itself. Whether there's a chick to be born from this egg or not, what do we notice? What do you guys see? I notice that it's a little flatter on one side than the other. This one's a brownish color, but I've seen some eggs that are white. Want to crack it open? Let's see what we have. Can I do it with one hand? No, I can't do it with one hand. Ooh.
Weird, gross.
I'm going to have to turn the camera. So, I see this, when we cook it, it's the white part, right? I bet you guys know the name of this is yolk.
Yolk.
We'll have to do some exploring and see what this is. And, let's look at the actual shell. The shell is some word we use often, but what's it inside? This looks like a little wallpaper. Well, let's do some exploring. I've got some pictures to show you and we can learn some of the terms. Here are the eggs again, and the egg that I cracked open, and the little chick looking at it saying, what made the egg that this chick came out of a little bit different? Well, the answer is that a rooster visited the hen who laid the egg that chick came from. So the eggs that became chicks were fertilized and incubated. Fertilized means that the egg, that the cell, which later divided and became an egg, came from a male rooster and a female hen. Incubated means that the fertilized egg was kept at just the right temperature. The eggs that we get from the store are unfertilized, and they have, if you were to look in the first couple of days of the egg being an egg, that there is a little circle. See that arrow? The infertile egg has a circle that it's not a very regular shape, whereas the fertile eggs have a nice circle that is very, very clear, and it sometimes even has a ring around it. But really, all eggs look the same in the beginning. All eggs have the same characteristics, whether they're fertilized or not. And when they become fertilized, there's one thing that changes, which is this germinal disc, and that becomes something called a dermoblast. And that represents the two, the rooster and the hen's contribution to this egg and makes it into an embryo in the end. But let's not talk about that quite yet. Let's see some of the words that we need to look at. Shell, a hard protective covering that is made of calcium carbonate. The shell has thousands of pores that let carbon dioxide and moisture out and oxygen and other gases in. So here, do we see where the shell is? Yep, I think the shell would be, of course, the outside of the whole egg. And we think of an egg and we think of it having a shell. Well, right inside the shell, I see something called an outer membrane and a membrane. And those are sort of the two layers inside the egg that felt like wallpaper right on the inside of the egg when I cracked it earlier. So that egg outer membrane and the inner membrane here can be defined like this. The shell membranes just inside the shell are the inner and outer membranes. The membranes protect the egg from bacteria and keep the moisture from evaporating too fast. All right, what else do we have? Well, there's another kind of membrane called the vitelline membrane, and let's go see what that is. There it is. A clear case for the yolk that protects it. When we crack open an egg, this is what holds the yolk in one piece. When this breaks, the yolk spreads out. So going back to our picture, here is the yolk. Well, the vitelline membrane is actually not a membrane for the shell, but rather a membrane for the yolk. It sort of holds it in place. And outside of the yolk is the albumin, or white. Now that is the watery, semi-solid white of an egg. It provides the developing embryo with food and water. I'm pretty sure I have something like that on this sheet. It says, when we eat an egg, the albumin is the white part. This is also where the baby chick gets a lot of its protein it needs to grow. The baby chick grows in this liquid. All right, so what else do we have here? We have something called the chalazae. And the chalazae is the twisted strands, or, whoa, where'd it go? The twisted strands or cords of albumin at each end of the yolk. So it's here and here. And if we look at our other list of words, let's see, it's right here. The twisted strands of fiber that act like a rope to hold the yolk in place. When the egg is turned, the chalazae turns to allow the chick to stay on top. And let's see, we've talked about a lot of things here, but we haven't talked about the air cell. The air cell is this little area of air, the pocket of air in the wide part of an egg. And that's, I remember we noticed before that the egg has a long, it's an oval shape, but it's a little bit more pointy at one end. Well, this air shell is what makes it a little bit more blunt on that other end. So let's see if we have anything more to learn about here. The large end of the egg, you will find the air cell. It works as a tiny shock absorber. When the chick is ready to hatch, it pokes a hole in the membranes into the air cell and it breathes its first breaths. Now, last but not least, I'm going to show you the definition first, then we'll go look at the picture. The germinal disc, a spot on the yolk that is also called the germ spot. This is where the female part of the egg is found. If an egg is fertilized, a blastoderm will form. This is where the chick will start. And that is, let's go get it. This is this space that we talked about earlier. So that becomes a blastoderm if it gets fertilized and incubated and then becomes an embryo. All right, so going back to our screen here, first of all, we know that a young chick is not going to go in its house here. All right, so a chick is certainly the littlest one here, not going to go where I want it to go. The rooster is the male chicken, and a hen is a female chicken. Can we do this activity? So if we have all these words here, do you guys think you can help me move them into the right spot? All right, the air cell is, let's leave it right there. It's that little area of air at the very flat end of the egg. The vitelline membrane, well, we know that that keeps the yolk in place, right? So that's right outside of the yolk, this little outer lining. The albumin is the white stuff all through between the yolk and the shell. The shell is on the outside. The chalazae, remember that was the braids that goes, the twisted rope areas that goes on the top and the bottom. It's not really braid. The shell membranes, well, that goes under the, like inside of the shell, but not as far in as the white. The yolk is the inside yellow. And that germinal disc, it's hard to see it here, but on that other paper, it was really good to look at that little tiny spot, which if it gets fertilized, becomes a blastoderm. Awesome. Well, I think you guys have really learned your parts of an egg, and I think we got all the answers right. Check that out. Good work, everyone. Okay, here's that egg again. Why don't you crack an egg in your own house, and not on the floor, but in a bowl, and see if you can identify the parts of an egg now that we've talked about them. I wonder if we can see a little circle in our egg yolk here to indicate that it's an unfertilized egg. I saw it earlier. See, there we go. Right there is a tiny little circle, and that is not a very, very clear circle. It's a little bit defined. So that's why that's an unfertilized egg. If you saw the yolk early on of a fertilized egg, it would have a real solid circle and it would be a ring around it. All right, well, everybody, I hope that you learned a lot and have a great rest of your day. Well, everybody, I hope you learned a lot and have a great rest of your day.